In business meetings or presentations, sometimes we're asked difficult questions and we struggle to respond. Maybe we can learn something from monks. Monks, they dedicated their lives to spirituality, studying and meditating for long hours, letting go of worldly attachment, serving, helping the community. But how do they handle difficult questions? Today, we'll analyze answers from 4 different monks. Hopefully, through this analysis, we learn how to give better answers. The first monk is Gauranga Das, a prominent figure in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in India. After his speech, 6 Secrets of Career Growth and Family Harmony, he was asked this.
The one question what I want to ask is, are you married?
No, sir. No. I'm not married.
So, I think there is a lot of difference. A person married and you're told, no, this family harmony. When you marry, then only you can really understand what is the family harmony.
Basically, you're not married, so what do you know about family harmony? Tough question, right? Let's see how he responds.
Thank you, sir. But, we have some idea based on when we live life with people. Basic relationship paradigms are there, and many of those we experience ourselves in dealings with others.
First, he acknowledged the questioner with thank you, and then he pivoted with but, and he made his point. We have some idea, and he gave his reasons. When we deal with others, basic relationship paradigms are the same. But he doesn't stop there. Let's see what he does next.
And therefore, this is a very crucial thing. I'll just share a story with you. When I joined as a monk in 1993, so one more gentleman had also joined, and I was in the kitchen. So that person was also sent to serve with me in the kitchen. So after 1 week, he came up to me and said, I have been sent here to work in the kitchen. I'm such a big, powerful speaker in my village. When I speak, the whole village stands up and listens to me. And you guys have, used me to make chapati. That's why I joined ISKCON, to make chapati. And then after 1 more week, he came and again spoke the same. So I said, why you are asking me? I am also in kitchen only. You go and discuss with somebody else. Then after a couple of weeks, he came to me and said, I am leaving because you guys didn't realize my value, and instead of utilizing my skills, you are engaging me in making chapati. So he went, and after 10 years, I met him, and he came up to me and said, you know what, I got married, and after marriage, my wife got back pain. Every day at my house, I am making chapati. And then he said, maybe I should have tolerated for some time.
That story makes me hungry. Good story though. It illustrates and supports his points. So after you make your point and give your reasons, then you give an example. And in this case, it was a story.
So many times we make hasty decisions. And whether it is a family where husband and wife are living, or it's a family where many monks are staying, but the basic principles of tolerance, respect, endurance remains the same. So therefore, these are very crucial principles to follow. But the bottom line, which underlies all of these 6, is mind control. Control over your mind, control over your emotions, and self-discipline. Thank you.
Sometimes examples need further elaboration. and that's why he stated the lessons learned from that story. Now, his answer ends there, but he could have restated the main point and said, "So I do know what I'm talking about." But he humbly chose not to. It's implicitly understood anyway. Let's take a closer look. After acknowledging and pivoting, you have point, reason, example, point. If you take the first letter of every part, you get prep. Prep is a famous method of impromptu speaking, and you can also use it to give better answers. And the second monk is Swami Mukundananda, the founder of JK Yoga, which is yoga for the body, mind, and soul. In one of his retreats, he was asked this.
So Lord Buddha was considered an avatar of Vishnu, but in his preachings, he does not mention anything about bhakti. Or is it our misinterpretation that it was mentioned? Because he says you do this, and then you'll attain nirvana.
In other words, Buddha, the Buddhist icon, if he is a reincarnation of Vishnu, the Hindu god, then why doesn't he teach the same thing? That thing being bhakti or devotional worship.
The Buddha was an avatar of Vishnu. Our scriptures have included him in the 10 avatar, the 24 avatar. But his teachings were all about ethics. There was no discussion of God and devotion. So his question is that if he was an avatar of Vishnu, then why did he not talk about bhakti?
As we've seen before, he acknowledges the question first. But this time, he doesn't acknowledge the question with thank you or good question. I mean, yeah, these generic acknowledgements can sometimes be enough, but in this case, he chose to acknowledge the question deeply. And he did this by rephrasing the question. A deeper acknowledgement: 1. Confirms you understood the question. 2. Shows the questioner you're open to their concern and willing to listen. 3. Ensures everyone in the audience understands. 4. Buys you time to structure your answer. So don't go around telling every questioner, good question, good question, good question. That's silly and repetitive. I mean, how can every question be a good question?
The reason is the teacher may be a PhD, but if the student is in grade 1, the teacher will only teach 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It does not mean the teacher only knows this much. It means the student can only understand that much.
And then he uses the phrase, the reason is, to move to the point that he wants to make. Now you might want to say, hold on a minute, he didn't say the point is, why did he say the reason is? Well, that's because the questioner wants to know why. And in that case, if it's a why question, then the main point will be the main reason why. And the R, which is the reason after the point, is going to be an explanation of that reason, or a reason of that reason, if you will. So don't worry, he's still following the prep structure. He goes on after that to explain the reason, and then he gave examples from history, and then he recapped the main point. If you want to see the rest of the answer, please refer to the original video. The link is in the description. The third monk is not really a monk. He's a yogi, but does not lead a monastic life. Nevertheless, he does lead a life of renunciation, so let's let this slide. He is Nayaswami Narayan, a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda and a spiritual director in Ananda, Los Angeles. In the video I chose, he was invited to respond to questions from Reddit, a discussion website. Let's see how he responds.
Yesterday, as I was lying awake at night, I realized that I was really a shitty kid. I had no backbone, lied, cheated, and had very little regard for people. I hate this about myself. How do I become less selfish? I think that's one of the great challenges that we all face is self-absorption. One way out of that kind of feeling of self-hatred serve other people. Find someone or something that you can give to expand your sense of self-identity.
He said, I guess that's a challenge that we all face. We're in this together, we're on the same side. This is inclusive language. And if you acknowledge people inclusively, you can take your acknowledgement to the next level. Here's another example.
I have a job that pays decent money, but it all feels too empty for me. I studied hard to get a job, and now, though I can afford some nice things, I want to find my true passion or purpose. Can someone please guide me with this? Yeah, I really resonate with that.
You're not alone. Okay?
So don't go around answering people with you. And don't point. Pointing is bad. The fourth and final monk is Thich Nhat Hanh, a renowned Buddhist monk and the founder of the Plum Village tradition. During a retreat in Plum Village, he was asked this.
When I get angry, how do I let my anger out?
When I'm angry, how do I let my anger out?
Do you think that your anger has come from the outside in and now you want to let it out again? Are you sure that the anger is coming from the outside? That is a counter question.
Countering a question with a question. This reminds me of Socratic questioning. According to Wikipedia, Socratic questioning was named after Socrates. He utilized an educational method that focused on discovering answers by asking questions from his students. Plato described this rigorous method of teaching to explain that the teacher assumes an ignorant mindset in order to compel the student to assume the highest level of knowledge. Thus, a student has the ability to acknowledge contradictions, recreate inaccurate or unfinished ideas, and critically determine necessary thought. Now, you can't expect all this from a kid. So, as you watch the video, you'll see that the monk actually gives an answer, and it doesn't develop into a Socratic dialogue. Let me show you parts of his answer that I really liked.
Anger is not something pleasant. It's like the mud. But without the mud, you cannot grow lotus flowers. So the mud is useful somehow. So your anger is useful somehow. So maybe you should not get it out. You should not throw it away. If you know how to make good use of your anger, you can grow the lotus of peace, of joy, of forgiveness.
The lotus flower. What a beautiful metaphor. Such metaphors and analogies help us to simplify ideas, and you can use them in your answer. But remember the question? It was about how I could let my anger out, and sure, the lotus flower is great, but I still want to punch my neighbor, so what do I do? And you can imagine how complicated this is for the child asking the question. So let's see how the monk simplifies this further.
I will give you an example. The other fellow this morning said something unkind to you. He did something, or he said something unkind to you, and you suffer, and anger is coming up. And usually, if you are not a good practitioner, you want to give that boy or that girl a punch, punish him or her.
Instead of supporting his answer with a story, he asks her to imagine a boy said something mean to her and think about how she would react. Now, I won't show the full answer because I don't want to make the video longer than it already is, but he proceeds to lead her to a favorable conclusion. And I like this exercise in imagination because it makes things somewhat more practical instead of just giving me abstract ideas. And I think the girl faced bullies in her life or has seen bullies, so it makes it more relatable, connected to real life a bit. This is a good alternative if you don't have a story. So instead of talking about something in the past, you could say, well, imagine if, and then talk about the hypothetical. You know, I'm proud of you for making it this far. Let's review today's tips. To answer difficult questions, you need to 1. Acknowledge, then pivot to your point. 2. If the point needs elaboration, use the PrEP formula. Point, reason, example, point. 3. You can acknowledge the questioner in 2 ways. Superficially, with good question or thank you, or deeply, by rephrasing the question or reiterating the questioner's feelings. Deep acknowledgement reaches the heart, helps everyone understand the question, and buys you time. 4. Try to use inclusive language with the pronoun we and make the questioner feel you're in this together. 5. You can respond to a question with a question for thoughtful dialogue, but watch out, it can take a lot of time. 6. You can use metaphors and imagery to simplify your ideas. 7. Your supporting example can be a story or an exercise in imagination. And there you have it, folks. Now go out there and answer questions like a monk. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, because I'm going to be putting out more videos in the future. Communication skills, answering questions, beating up your neighbor. Well, maybe not that one, but important stuff nevertheless. And I look forward to having you on this journey with me.